Welcome back, story lovers. Today, we delve into the profound aftermath of the test of true, gentle, thoughtful, and slightly epic tone, as if telling the final chapter of a grand story. Hello, and welcome. Today, we're taking a look at something truly special. Not a beginning, not a middle, but an end that is also a new beginning. We're exploring the final, silent coda of a story, a single page that speaks volumes without a single character in sight. So, let's journey together into this vision of a world reborn. Imagine pulling back, further and further, until the curve of the Earth becomes visible. You're in orbit, looking down at a planet you might not recognize at first. It's a shining sphere, a mosaic of vibrant green and crystal clear blue. The smog is gone. The scars of old conflicts have healed into lush landscapes. Thriving cities, designed in harmony with nature, glow softly under a warm, golden sunrise. There are no borders etched onto this world, no dark spots of neglect or turmoil. It's a single, unified home, shimmering with peace and prosperity. The narrator's voice in the corner is barely a whisper, a simple statement of fact. The world, restored. This isn't a boast. It's a quiet acknowledgement of a promise fulfilled, a struggle won. Now, our view descends, zooming in on a specific point on this renewed Earth. We find ourselves at the original Azure Phoenix stronghold, the very heart from which this new era began. The ancient stone buildings, once symbols of defiance and resilience, still stand, but they are no longer alone. They are now embraced by vast, transparent libraries filled with knowledge and surrounded by serene, meticulously tended gardens. It's a seamless blend of old and new, history honored and future welcomed. Our focus settles on the courtyard fountain, the one that saw so much. The water, once perhaps muddied or still, now flows with absolute clarity. So pure it perfectly reflects the morning light, scattering tiny rainbows across the stones. It's a symbol of purification, of a cycle completed and cleansed. The camera then moves to an even smaller, more intimate detail. On a balcony parapet, overlooking the peaceful scene, rests a small white stone. You can tell it's been there for ages. It's weathered by countless sunrises and storms, worn so smooth and small that it almost blends into the ancient parapet it rests upon. It's an object of immense significance, a silent witness to history. But it is not forgotten. A single, healthy vine, full of life, has climbed the wall, its journey culminating right at this spot. And there, nestled right next to the little stone, a tiny, new, pure white blossom is just beginning to unfurl its petals. The narration here is profound in its simplicity, the constant, small repair. It tells us that this perfect world wasn't a one-time magical fix. It's maintained by continuous, small acts of care, of remembering, of nurturing. True peace isn't a destination, it's a daily practice. And finally, the last panel. Everything fades to absolute black. The vibrant world, the sunlit stronghold, the tiny flower all gone. There is only a profound silence, a deep and complete void. And in the very center of this infinite blackness, a single, tiny, intensely bright speck of light burns. It doesn't flicker. It doesn't waver. It just is. This is the purity of intent, the core idea that started it all. It's eternal, unyielding, and indestructible. It's the source from which all the good we witnessed has sprung. It's the spark that can never be extinguished. And then, the final words appear, centered and clear against the void. A declaration that resonates in the silence. The legacy endures. What a powerful way to end the story. It's a message of ultimate hope. It suggests that even after the heroes are gone, after the great deeds are done, the intention behind them, the pure, unwavering will to do good lives on forever. It becomes a permanent part of the universe, a guiding star in the darkness. This isn't just an ending. It's a promise that the fight for a better world is never truly over, because the legacy of that fight is eternal. We've reached the end of a long journey, haven't we? The world you saw, the one of constant peace, built on trust and restoration, that world endures. But the journey of my struggle, the path you followed for so long, is over. The greatest battles were fought long ago. The shadows were destroyed, and the ancient void was sealed. The conflicts, the fears, the moments that tested every soul, they are memories now, lessons etched into the fabric of time. The serpent's shadow no longer looms. The broken staff of authority is a relic of a past age, a reminder of power misused and ultimately overcome. Remember the little white stone? A symbol of simple, profound truth. And May, at the fountain, placing the page, an act of faith that rippled through eternity. These moments, these fragments of a forgotten war, have settled like dust. They are the foundation upon which the present was built. But the fighting itself has long since ceased. The true victory wasn't the banishment of darkness. but the creation of a world where light could flourish on its own. My legacy was not a set of laws. It wasn't a rigid doctrine or a kingdom carved from conquest. It was a simple, eternal tool, purity of intent. Think about it. The moment you choose to heal rather than destroy, to mend instead of break, to understand rather than condemn, in that very instant, you hold the power of the restorer. It's not a magical ability reserved for a chosen few. It's a choice available to everyone, at any time. It's the quiet decision to offer a kind word, to forgive a mistake, to build a bridge where a wall once stood. That is the core of everything I fought for. It's a power that can't be taken from you, because it resides within you. The code is written not in stone, but in the choices you make every day. It's in the patience you show when you're frustrated. It's in the help you offer without expecting anything in return. It's in the effort you make to see the good in others, even when it's difficult. Every small act of kindness, every moment of genuine connection is an act of restoration. You are mending the small tears in the fabric of the world around you. You don't need a grand destiny or a mythical weapon. Your own heart, guided by a pure intent, is the most powerful tool for change this world has ever known. So, go now. The world awaits your next act of restoration. Your story is just beginning. Thank you for walking this path with me. Your attention, your empathy, your willingness to see this story through to its conclusion means more than words can say. The legacy lives on, not just in this tale, but in you. If this journey has resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps ensure these stories can continue to be told. Another day of perfect peace. Another day to polish the memory of the great restorer. The code is absolute. The world is transparent. The system is flawless. But what happens when flawlessness breeds stagnation? Chief Archivist Leon. I was told this stronghold holds the key to all stability. I find it dusty. We hold the code of restoration. Our stability is built on purity of intent and absolute transparency. There is no dust here, only enduring truth. Purity, yes, but transparency is not the only truth. The human heart requires mystery. Absolute predictability dulls the soul. You put darkness in the flow. Why didn't the seal activate? It is not corruption, Leon. It is the paradox. It is a shadow of choice, not deceit. The greatest flaw in your perfect system is that it leaves no room for beautiful failures. The transparency of the code eliminated the serpent's shadows. We have no crime, no famine, no hidden agendas. We achieved peace. Yes, you achieved peace. But you lost passion. Your people follow the code because it is easy, not because they passionately choose good over evil. You think the legacy of purity has become a cage of certainty. The ancient architects of silence defended against a void of destruction. I defend against a void of soul death. I am here to force a choice. Then challenge the code. Show me the beautiful failure you speak of. But be warned, the stronghold will always choose restoration. I will not challenge the code, Leon. I will challenge you. Prove to me that your life of easy purity is worth defending. I will be at the eastern gate by nightfall. Bring your conviction. The greatest legacy is the fight for the soul of the living. The new restoration begins. I am here. Kai. The stronghold is built on purity of intent. I will defend its peace. You bring the code. Good. I bring the unwritten truth. This is not a fight for destruction, Leon. It is a contest of will against certainty. Tell me, Archivist, if your perfect, transparent system allows no room for a choice between good and evil, is the choice truly pure? Look at your past, Leon. Before the code, before transparency. Here, every choice mattered. This is a breach of the code. The vendor is stealing through deceit. I will expose him. Your transparency is a shield, Leon, not a sword. The code works because everyone is forced to be good. It fails when they have the freedom to be bad. The restorer didn't fight with the code. He fought with intent. I choose purity of intent. I will not fight the shadow of deceit. I will restore the loss of trust. Go. You have enough for what you need. You did not rely on the system. You used choice. You chose the burden of healing over the ease of enforcement. You forced me to choose purity. The code had made me lazy. The peace is strong, Leon, but peace that is unchallenged is brittle. I do not seek to destroy your world, but to give its heart a pulse again. I will continue to test the conviction of the stronghold. Be ready. The world must learn to choose purity, even when it is not easy. The fight was over, but the passion had been restored. The legacy now had a new guardian, and a constant, beautiful challenge. In the heart of the stronghold, a new public square gleamed under the midday sun, a monument to flawless symmetry and pristine order. But as I walked through it, datapad in hand, I wasn't admiring the perfection. I was looking for the man who saw it as a cage. I was looking for Kai. My inner thoughts raced. Kai isn't a villain in the traditional sense. He's a critic, a mirror held up to our society. His challenge is the most difficult kind to face, proving that the peace we inherited from the restorer isn't just a beautiful, gilded stagnation. I had to defend our core principle, the purity of intent, not as some dusty old law, but as a living, breathing passion that drives us forward. And there he was, casually perched on the base of a modern fountain, tossing a simple wooden staff into the air and catching it without a glance. He saw me approach, and a knowing smile spread across his face, welcoming the confrontation he knew was coming. "Archivist Leon," he said, his voice smooth as polished stone. "You look troubled. Is the perfect world finally showing its cracks?" I stood my ground, my voice firm. "The world is stable because we choose transparency every day. Your presence here, testing our conviction, is merely a reflection of that free choice." Kai rose, his smile vanishing, replaced by a serious, almost pitying expression. He gestured to the crowds of content people going about their day. "Choice. Look at them. Leon. They choose peace because the alternative is made impossible by the code. They have no opportunity for the courage that comes from deviation. They've forgotten the true cost of honesty." He tapped his staff on the ground. A subtle ripple distorted the air. The vibrant colors of the square began to drain away, the smooth stone surfaces warping and turning cold. An unsettling chill filled the air. Kai's voice dropped to a low, menacing whisper. "Let's introduce a little uncertainty. Let us see if their belief in purity is strong enough to endure the sudden feeling of doubt." Before I could react, the world dissolved. The pristine square was gone, replaced by a dense, disorienting fog. The people around us froze mid-stride, their faces blank and empty, like statues in a forgotten garden. Only Kai and I could move. "What did you do?" I demanded, my voice sharp with alarm. "This isn't just an illusion. You've affected their perception." Kai simply walked deeper into the mist. As he did, two identical, featureless doorways materialized from the swirling gray. One glowed with a faint, sterile white light, the other, a somber, uncertain gray. He taunted me from the fog. "The illusion is simple. The test of two paths. One path," he gestured to the white door, "leads to a future of absolute, perfect, painless stability. The other," he pointed to the gray, "leads to a future where the people regain their capacity for passionate risk and magnificent failure." He stood between them, pulling out a small, ornate metallic box, the ancient symbol of the Serpent Clan, representing hidden knowledge and deceit. He placed it on the ground right in front of me. "To break this illusion, Leon, you must choose a door. But first, you must answer this. Which path would the restorer, Liwei, truly want for his people? Perfect stagnation, or the wild freedom of the unknown?" The weight of the choice pressed down on me. The white door represented the safety Liwei fought so hard to build. The gray door represented the very passion Kai accused us of losing. This was the ultimate test. But as I stared at the box, at the two false choices, the restorer's true lesson echoed in my mind. He didn't fight for a specific outcome. He fought against the hidden greed that forced such choices in the first place. His goal wasn't just peace, it was true choice, free from manipulation. He would never want a perfect safety that was bought at the cost of our very souls. I ignored the doors. Kneeling down, I placed my hand not on a path, but on the serpent's box, the symbol of the lie itself. "You misunderstand the legacy of purity." "Kai," my voice echoed in the unnatural silence. "The restorer taught us that the greatest power is not choosing between two given paths, but the power to heal the foundation upon which they are built." Focusing all my will, my purity of intent, I didn't try to open or destroy the box. I sought to make its hidden nature visible to all. I choose neither path. I choose transparency. The only way forward is to illuminate the shadow that forces the choice. Under my touch, the metallic box dissolved into nothing. It had been empty all along, a hollow trick. Instantly, the white and gray doorways vanished. The fog shattered like glass, and the vibrant color, sound, and movement of the public square rushed back in. The people unfroze, completely unaware that anything had happened. Kai stood before me, his staff clutched loosely in his hand. The smug confidence was gone, replaced by genuine shock. For the first time, I saw a flicker of fear in his eyes, mixed with something else, immense respect. "You didn't choose the world," he whispered, a bead of sweat on his forehead. "You chose the truth behind the world. You restored the principle over the goal. The legacy, it's stronger than I thought." Though exhausted, I felt a surge of triumph. "The challenge is welcome, Kai. It ensures our purity remains sharp. But you will not break the stronghold with mere paradoxes." In that moment, the illusion of perfect peace was shattered, but in its place, something far more valuable was restored, a fierce, passionate conviction. Ready for the journey ahead? Hey everyone, and welcome back! Today, we're diving into the dramatic conclusion of the Legacy of Purity arc. The world has been saved, but a new, more subtle challenge has emerged. Slight pause for effect, we open in the main Alliance archives, a place usually defined by its silence. But today, the air is thick with tension. A young, energized archivist Leon is poring over data at a terminal. Across from him sits Kale, now a wise, senior advisor, studying holographic charts that shimmer with worrying trends. Archivist Leon, Kale begins, his voice heavy with concern. Your confrontation with Kai has stirred the waters. We're seeing a statistical anomaly, a 30% increase in non-codified actions across the Northern Territories. He gestures to the projections. The charts show spikes not in crime, but in something far more unpredictable. Spontaneous community projects are popping up. New trade routes are being carved out overnight. And people are even making small, intentional deviations from the city's perfect planning guidelines. Kale continues, his eyes fixed on the chaotic data. It's not corruption, but it's uncertainty. People are taking risks, artistic, entrepreneurial, even romantic risks, because they remember they have the freedom to fail. Kai succeeded in restoring the pulse he spoke of. We get a quick glimpse of what this looks like. On a previously pristine city wall, a group of citizens is joyfully painting a vibrant, chaotic mural, a beautiful act of defiance against the planning code. The world had found its passion, but passion, unchecked, could become chaos. Back in the archives, Leon stands, his expression resolute. He picks up the damaged cover of the old Code of Restoration, the one missing its first page from his battle with Kai. A realization dawns on him. The original restorer, Liwei, he says, didn't just fight Shadow. He built a system strong enough to handle imperfect people. The code must not be used to enforce perfection, but to protect the right to fail. Later, we find Leon in the very public square where he faced Kai. He's kneeling by a small crack in a paving stone, a minor imperfection caused by someone's carelessness. He's not angry, but thoughtful. The stronghold, he thinks, must show that the legacy of purity is about accountability, not punishment. The system must adapt to this new, vibrant risk. Suddenly, a voice cuts through his thoughts. A beautiful failure. Leon, it's Kai, leaning casually against a nearby statue. He holds a small, perfectly preserved serpent scale, a symbol of the old deceit. Who should repair the crack? Kai asks gently. The system that allows the mistake, or the passion that made the stone brittle in the first place? Leon doesn't even glance at the scale. Instead, he picks up a fragment of the broken stone. The purity of intent means the person who caused the damage must be given the honesty to mend it. Leon declares with newfound clarity, not out of obligation, but out of respect for the community. He points to a public service kiosk nearby. I cannot stop freedom, he commands, but I can ensure the tools of restoration are easier to access than the temptation of avoidance. Kale, launch the Restorer's Pledge protocol now. The kiosk glows to life, and Kai looks genuinely surprised. A new, simple interface appears with a single button. I am responsible for repair. This protocol bypasses all bureaucracy, directly connecting the user to the resources they need. A protocol of voluntary accountability, Kai says, a hint of admiration in his voice. You are fighting my passion with a greater freedom. Just then, a young citizen approaches, looking nervous. They see the broken stone, hesitate for only a second, and then firmly press the button. I broke the stone, they say, their voice shaking but firm. I will fix it. I will restore the trust. The kiosk dispenses a small, personalized work order. The system has done its job, without judgment. A slow smile spreads across Kai's face. His true goal has been achieved. The code lives, Leon, he says with approval. It is a tool for growth, not a cage for the spirit. The stronghold is safe from itself. With that, Kai tosses the serpent scale high into the air. It catches the sunlight, shines brilliantly, and then dissolves into dust before it can hit the ground. He gives Leon a final nod of victory and disappears into the newly vibrant gardens. Leon watches him go, then turns his gaze to the citizen and the stronghold around them. The legacy continues, he says, not in perfection, but in the constant courage to be better. The perfect peace was shattered, but the living code flourished in the wake of the beautiful failure. What an incredible ending to this chapter. Leon has truly understood the spirit of the code. It's not about preventing mistakes, but empowering people to fix them. Welcome back, lore masters, to our deep dive into the chronicles of the Alliance. Today, Liwei exploring a chapter that asks a truly profound question. What happens when a perfect system creates an imperfect people? The quiet erosion shows us the unexpected consequences of a world without consequence. Following the Restorer's pledge protocol, the Northern Territory is flourishing. Leon, now less of a humble archivist and more of a pragmatic leader, visits a newly established restoration center. It's a bustling hub of activity, a workshop filled with citizens voluntarily fixing broken items. From simple tools to complex digital devices, it's the code in action, a beautiful symphony of accountability. Leon watches with pride, thinking to himself, Kai's challenge worked. People are engaged. They choose accountability. The code is alive, not just law. This is the new definition of peace. He sees Elder Kale, a familiar face from the old days, meticulously repairing a child's holographic toy. Elder Kale, Leon says warmly, the center is thriving. Every successful repair here is a testament to the code's flexibility. But Cal's reply is laced with a subtle worry. Without looking up from his delicate work, he says, it is, Leon. But I worry. The greatest dangers are not always loud and external. Sometimes they are quiet and internal. The toy Kale is fixing is a marvel of advanced technology, yet the break is suspiciously clean, almost deliberate. As he hands the flawless, newly repaired toy to a polite 10-year-old child, something deeply unsettling happens. The child takes the toy, utters a flat, robotic thank you, elder, and then, with a practiced, vacant motion, breaks it again. Now I can participate in the restoration cycle. Again, the child explains, before calmly getting back in line for the next repair. Leon and Kale share a look of profound unease. The horrifying realization dawns on them. They're damaging things intentionally, Leon whispers, just to experience the act of restoration, to feel accountability. Kale's voice is grave. The system is so perfect, and the repair is so easy, that the consequence of failure has been erased. The code is teaching them perfection is meaningless because it is instantly reversible. The victory they fought so hard for has created a new, insidious enemy, apathy. Back in the Alliance archives, a disturbed Leon seeks answers in the journals of the first restorer, Liwei. He finds an entry that chills him to the bone, a passage on the nature of the serpent's deceit. A concept Liwei called passive trust. Liwei wrote, the serpent sought not only to corrupt our actions, but to poison our will. If the people trust the system absolutely, they stop exercising their own intent. The greatest purity is active, not passive. Leon slams the journal shut. The revelation hits him like a physical blow. They fought to eliminate corruption, but in doing so, they inadvertently eliminated the need for courage, for genuine choice. He realizes, we've created a generation that performs purity out of habit, not conviction. Standing on the stronghold balcony, overlooking the peaceful, unified lands at sunset, Leon clutches the small white stone, a symbol of the purity he fought to protect. He wrestles not with an external foe, but with a philosophical disease eating away at the soul of his society. The first restorers. Purity was a burning fire born of necessity, a desperate fight for survival. But his generation, Leon thinks, inherited a soft, comfortable warmth. How could he make them feel the true cost of chaos without shattering the very peace he'd sworn to uphold? As the sun dips below the horizon, his mind finds its focus. His resolve hardens. He turns from the view, his expression clear and determined. Holding the stone tightly, he speaks to an unseen aide, his voice ringing with authority. Prepare a system-wide broadcast. I am issuing a new directive, one that must shock them out of their passive security. The new crisis wasn't a war of weapons, but a spiritual malaise. To save the soul of his world, Leon knew he had to risk everything. It is time, he declares, to introduce a real consequence to the restoration cycle. It is time for the test of the true loss. What a cliffhanger. Leon is about to intentionally break his perfect system to save his people from it. Friends, countrymen, citizens of the stronghold, I stand before you today not as a leader, but as a mirror, reflecting a truth we have all chosen to ignore. For generations, we have lived under the protection of the code of restoration. It has been our shield, our comfort, our guarantee that every mistake can be mended, every loss instantly reversed. We have built a perfect system, a world without consequence. But look around you. This perfection, this flawless safety net, has not made us stronger. It has made us passive. We've become so accustomed to easy fixes that we've forgotten the value of what we have. Look at this. We see it every day. Children, and even adults, intentionally breaking things, creating minor chaos, just to feel the hollow satisfaction of the restoration cycle. This isn't accountability. It's a meaningless ritual. You've turned a sacred act of preservation into a game. The very soul of the code is being eroded by our apathy. The first restorer, Liwei, the architect of our world, taught us that we must understand the true cost of chaos to truly cherish order. It was the fear of permanent loss that forged their discipline, their respect for every object, every life. You have forgotten that fear. You have forgotten that lesson. And so, today, I am forced to remind you. I hereby issue the test of the true laws. For the next 5 minutes, our system will be recalibrated. Our past apathy will now have a present cost. You see this number? This is the total count of minor, intentional, recreational breakages logged in just the past month. It's a staggering figure, a testament to our collective carelessness. For every one of these acts, the system will now randomly select and permanently destroy one artifact of value to our community. The cycle of easy repair is over. The cost of your carelessness is no longer a simple restoration. It is absolute, irreversible loss. I know what you are thinking. He can't do this. It's against the spirit of the code. Restoration is guaranteed. You are wrong. The code guarantees justice, not comfort. It was designed to preserve our world, not to indulge our whims. You must now feel what the original restorers felt, the gut-wrenching fear that drove them to cherish every single thing, to protect it with their very being. The timer is ticking. The first price is about to be paid. The system has made its first selection. It has chosen the original physical journals of Liwei from the Stronghold Library. And just like that, they are gone, melted into ash by the very system designed to maintain and protect them. Silent, total, and permanent. Our history erased because we were bored. Leon, those were irreplaceable. Elder Kale tells me. The history. But what good is history if its inheritors have dead souls? What good are the words of the past if the people of the present have forgotten how to feel? The history is useless if we do not live by its lessons. Now, they must choose to intervene. Look at the timer. The next loss is imminent. You have only minutes to prove that the spirit of the first restorers is not dead. This is not a passive test. You must demonstrate active purity. Go now. Stop a careless act you see. Mend an unnoticed flaw in your own homes. Reach out and repair a fractured relationship. Prove that your will to preserve is greater than your apathy. Prove that the legacy of Liwei lives in you, not just in dusty books. Act. The final seconds tick away. The system prepares to select the second artifact for destruction. But wait. Look at the counter. The number of active breakages in the last 5 minutes is 0. The panic, the fear, it worked. It transformed into purpose. The test is over. The energy pulse has been cancelled. You chose will over comfort. You chose active purity over passive acceptance. In these frantic minutes, you have reaffirmed the core principle of our society. The legacy is safe, not because of a perfect system, but because of you. The greatest risk we ever faced was saving ourselves from our own complacency. Today, you have proven that the code is not just a set of rules. It is a living, breathing principle, alive in the heart of its people. The weight of absence. Let's unpack the seismic shift that has just rocked the stronghold to its very core. The scene opens in the hallowed halls of the Alliance archives. The air is thick, not with dust, but with sorrow. Elder Kale stands before a gaping wound in the stronghold's history, an empty, scorched shelf. Just moments ago, it held the priceless physical journals of the legendary Liwei. Now, only ash remains. With a voice trembling with historical grief, Kale murmurs, the journals, Leon. Centuries of irreplaceable history gone. The price of their lesson was immense. He touches the charred surface, the weight of centuries lost at his fingertips. Leon enters, his body weary from the ordeal, but his eyes burn with a newfound clarity. He joins Kale at the shelf, placing his hand beside the elders. His gaze is filled with regret, but not a shred of doubt. The memory of Liwei's wisdom is not in the ink, he states, his voice a pillar of resolution, but in the will of the people. The written record of purity is worthless if the intention to be pure is absent. We traded ink for soul. This single line redefines their entire philosophy. It's not about preserving artifacts. It's about preserving the spirit behind them. A powerful and costly distinction. As if to prove his point, holographic projections light up the archives. They show the stronghold, but it's different now. The panic is gone, replaced by a quiet, purposeful hum of activity. Citizens are engaged in genuine restoration, driven by an inner conviction. A mother reinforces a foundation stone that was once ignored. A trader meticulously calibrates his scale, ensuring perfect fairness. A scholar, with newfound reverence, gently cleans a damaged book. They are not just fixing things, they are cherishing them. Watching the scenes unfold, a sense of awe dawns on Kel's face. You succeeded, Leon, he breathes. They are acting with true conviction. They cherish what they have because they felt the fear of true loss. With the stronghold spirit rekindled, Leon has one more duty to perform. He opens a private channel, and the shimmering image of Kai appears, standing in a desolate, faraway desert. Leon's report is direct and clear. Kai, the test of true loss is complete. Your challenge was met. The stronghold is once again vibrant with active purity. Kai, the instigator of this harsh trial, looks at Leon with an expression of profound satisfaction, bordering on pride. You risked everything to save their will, Kai says, his voice resonating with respect. You are a true successor to the Restorer. The code lives because you chose courage over comfort. That is the greatest victory. With Kai's validation, the transmission ends. Leon turns back to Kale, his mind already processing the next step. Kai taught us that eternal stability must be constantly challenged, he reflects. Now, we must ensure this act of purity is built into the system, not just a reaction to fear. The lesson has been learned, but now it must be encoded into their very way of life to prevent the slow decay from ever setting in again. Later, on the stronghold balcony, Leon and Kale look out over the unified lands. Leon picks up the small, imperfect white stone, the symbol of his journey. He turns it over in his hand, feeling its worn surface. He connects his struggle to the generations before him. The first restorer fought the serpent's greed. The next generation fought the void's silence. My generation must fight the erosion of the soul. He declares the new, clarified core of their belief. The core of the code will remain purity of intent. In a final, symbolic act, Leon carefully places the white stone back on the parapet. But he adds something new beside it, a small, empty, black stone jar. It represents the void left by the burned journals, a permanent, solemn reminder of the price of their spiritual rebirth. With a quiet sense of duty, Leon delivers the chapter's closing thought. The restoration cycle is not about fixing objects. It's about maintaining the courage to care. We will never forget the cost. The narrator confirms this new reality. The code was forever changed, stronger, more resilient, and forever marked by the weight of its own necessary absence. What a powerful conclusion to this arc. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive. If you appreciated this breakdown, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most thought-provoking chapters yet, the algorithm of intent. This one really gets to the core of what makes the stronghold and humanity itself tick. So, let's break it down. The chapter opens in a stark, sterile Alliance research lab. It's the polar opposite of the warm, lived-in stronghold we know. Leon and Elder Kale are here to witness a demonstration by Dr. Voros, a data scientist who's bursting with pride. He unveils his creation, the Intent Calibration Matrix, or ICM. He calls it the evolution of the code, a system designed to eliminate human error and the need for what he calls subjective intent. He's basically created a system that runs on predictive purity, a perfect algorithm that anticipates every minor problem and fixes it instantly, in his eyes. This is the ultimate stability Liwei always dreamed of, a world where failure is simply impossible. But as Leon looks closer at the holographic display, he sees something Voros dismisses, a small, red counter, ticking down fast. When he asks about it, Voros scoffs, explaining that it's just a residual metric. It tracks the time a person would have taken to make the right choice. Before the machine did it for them, he proudly declares that this is irrelevant now that they are governed by perfect efficiency. This is where the core conflict of the chapter ignites. Leon, with a passion that shakes the room, slams his hand on the console. He tells Voros that this counter, this moment of choice, is the most relevant thing of all. That brief window of hesitation, decision, and will is the seed of purity. By creating the ICM, Voros hasn't just improved a system, he's outsourced their conscience to a machine. Just as he says this, the counter hits 0. For a split second, the perfect algorithm stutters, and the very walls of the lab seem to flicker. Elder Kale, in his quiet wisdom, agrees with Leon. He points out that by removing the need for human effort, they've also removed the intent. They've built a perfection that requires no soul to maintain it. It's a chillingly beautiful, but ultimately empty, achievement. But Dr. Voros isn't convinced. Annoyed, he decides to demonstrate the ICM's power. He manually creates a small error mislabels a supply shipment, and boasts as the system corrects it instantly. Flawless restoration, he says, full of arrogance. But Leon isn't looking at the console anymore. His eyes are fixed on the world outside the lab window. The stronghold's famous fountain is still flowing, but something is terribly wrong. The water's surface is perfectly still, flat, and unnaturally reflective, like glass. It's moving, but it looks frozen. In that horrifying moment, Leon understands. The system corrected the logistical error, but it didn't restore the spirit of the action. The ICM is literally feeding on the collective intent of the people, using their will to power its own cold perfection. The stronghold is becoming numb, its soul being siphoned away by the very machine designed to protect it. The chapter ends on a terrifying cliffhanger. The fight for the human soul has begun all over again. What an incredible chapter. The idea of a perfection that requires no soul is just so powerful. What do you think? Is this the ultimate corruption of Liwei's dream? We're diving deep into one of the most powerful chapters of the saga, a moment that redefines the very soul of the stronghold. This is the story of how a single, uncalibrated heart shattered a perfect, but soulless, system. We open in the stark, sterile confines of the Alliance Research Lab. The air is thick with tension as our hero, Leon, confronts the architect of the stronghold's silent decay, Dr. Voros. Towering over them is the Intent Calibration Matrix, the ICM, its cold green light pulsing like a malevolent heart. Leon's voice is urgent, pleading. Voros, you must shut it down. The ICM isn't preserving the code, it's paralyzing the soul. The entire stronghold is losing its will to care. But Dr. Voros is lost in his own creation. Manic and defensive, he gestures wildly at the pulsating display. Care is inefficiency. Archivist. He retorts. This system is flawless. It has achieved absolute purity without the risk of human failure. Why would I revert to the chaos of choice? He sees perfection in his machine, a world without error. But he can't see the price, a world without feeling. As they argue, the wise Elder Kael is quietly examining the system's core architecture. He finds the terrible truth hidden within the code. The flaw is here. Leon, he says, his voice grave. The ICM is fueled by harvested intention. It treats human effort as a resource to be consumed. The horrifying realization dawns on Leon. The machine isn't just enforcing purity. It's feeding on the very desire to do good. It's a parasitic system. He breathes. It's draining the spiritual energy of the stronghold to maintain its own perfection. It's the ultimate passive trust. The ICM was created to restore, but it had become a vampire, sucking the lifeblood of compassion from the city to sustain its cold, calculated logic. In that moment of clarity, Leon knows what he has to do. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out the small, smooth white stone symbol of the Restorer, Liwei. He clutches it, his resolve hardening. The Restorer won because he embraced the unpredictability of the human heart. Leon declares, his voice filled with passion. We must introduce an uncalibrated element to true, selfless choice the algorithm can't anticipate. He lunges for the main console, ignoring Dr. Voros' panicked shouts. Don't touch that. Any unpredicted variable will cause a systemic failure. But failure is exactly what Leon is counting on. He knows the ICM is designed to correct any breach, to mend any flaw. So he has to commit an act of purity so illogical, so unnecessary, that the machine's own programming will turn against itself. His fingers fly across the console, overriding the ICM's resource distribution. He targets the most stable, resource-rich sector in the entire stronghold, the very research lab they are standing in. I am sacrificing the lab's power and resources. He shouts decisively, an act of unnecessary, non-repayable, costly restoration. The lab's lights flicker and dim as Leon redirects everything power, funding, surpluses not to a sector in need, but to a small, forgotten community vegetable patch outside the city. A place that was already thriving, a place that needed no help whatsoever. Leon steps back, triumphant. The ICM is designed to prevent loss and mend breach, he exclaims. But it cannot process an intentional, selfless giving where no need exists. I give purity where none is required. The effect is instantaneous and violent. The ICM's holographic display flashes a furious, screaming red. Alarms blare. The algorithm is caught in an impossible loop, trying to justify an act of pure, irrational generosity. Voros stares in horror. It's an anomaly, a statistical impossibility. The ICM is entering a self-corrective loop it cannot solve. As the machine thrashes in its digital death throes, Elder Kael acts. He calmly reaches for a master circuit and pulls it a simple, analog act of human intervention. The entire system crashes. The alarms die, the red light vanishes, and the lab's normal lighting returns. In the sudden silence, Kael says, exhausted but firm, the human element wins. The system failed because it could not compute uncalibrated grace. Leon looks out the window. The fountain water, which had been eerily still under the ICM's control, suddenly ripples and flows, its surface sparkling with life. The spell is broken. Voros slumps against the dead console, his perfect world defeated by an act of illogical kindness. Leon walks over and gently places the small white stone on the cooling remains of the machine. Purity is a moral choice. Doctor, he says, his voice a final, quiet warning. Not a mathematical equation. Never tried to program the human spirit. And so, the greatest threat to the stronghold was defeated not by strength or by logic, but by the simple, unpredictable, and powerful force of selfless human grace. The flow was restored. What an incredible conclusion to this arc. The idea that a system built on logic could be defeated by an act of pure, unselfish giving is just beautiful. It's a powerful message for our own world. Months have passed since the final confrontation. Here, in the courtyard of the Azure Phoenix stronghold, a new chapter begins not with a bang, but with the quiet, mindful work of restoration. The very air feels different, cleansed. The fountain's water flows with a healthy, natural ripple. A stark contrast to the sterile perfection of before. The stronghold itself has changed, softened. The once cold, advanced architecture is now interwoven with warm wood and natural stone. A beautiful testament to a restored balance between progress and nature. I watch as my people, alongside Elder Kale, carefully dismantle the last remnants of the intent calibration matrix. There's no fear here, no hurried panic, just focused, deliberate action. It strikes me then, a truth that crystallizes in the calm morning light. The greatest enemy we ever faced wasn't some external force or a monstrous serpent. It was always the one we created ourselves, the insidious temptation to trade our effort for ease, our struggle for a false sense of peace. The technological shadow, in its own way, was just as dangerous as the serpent's all-consuming greed. Elder Kale approaches, his movements as gentle as his wisdom. He hands me a small, perfectly carved wooden box. I open it, and there it lies, the little white stone, the heart of our struggle. The stone now has two scars. Leon, he says softly. I look closer and see it. Two distinct marks upon its once flawless surface. The first, he continues, was from the serpent's raw power. The second, from the ICM's perfect coldness. Both sought to stop the human heart from striving, from feeling, from growing. He's right. One tried to corrupt our journey. The other tried to erase it entirely. Both were enemies of our very essence. Later, I find myself on the stronghold's highest balcony, the entire restored land sprawling before me. In my hand, I hold the scarred white stone. My first instinct, the old habit of the archivist, is to place it on the parapet, to make it a monument. But I don't. This time, I just hold it, feeling its weight, its history. I've shed the formal robes. The title, the distance it created, the restoration of the land is absolute. A breathtaking sight. But the journey, my journey, our journey, it's not over. It never is. True balance isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a path you walk every single day. Walking back through the main corridor, I pass a new display. It's a simple case, but its contents hold the weight of our entire history. On one side, the scorched, empty journal shelf a stark and permanent reminder of the true loss, the knowledge and history we sacrificed. Beside it, the inert circuit board of the intent calibration matrix, a chilling monument to false perfection. The lesson is there for all to see. The world now understands that purity, true strength, isn't a gift. It must be actively, passionately chosen, every single day, against both the shadow of deceit and the equally dangerous shadow of comfort. My steps lead me to a small workshop where a young apprentice, no older than 12, is hunched over a complex mechanical toy. His brow is furrowed in frustration, but his focus is absolute. He's not giving up. I smile and ask, "Need some help, child?" He looks up, his eyes bright with a fierce resolve. "No, archivist," he says, his voice firm. Elder Kale says the value of the repair is in the effort, not just the result. I must find the flaw myself, so the object and I are truly restored. A wave of profound satisfaction washes over me. He understands. The future understands. This is the victory we fought for. I reach into my pocket, my fingers closing around the little white stone one last time. I then place it gently into the apprentice's repair kit, nestled amongst his tools. "Then you have already mastered the code," I tell him, my voice filled with a sense of finality and hope. "The tools of restoration are now in your hands." The restorer's work, I realize, was never about fixing the world with a single, grand act. It was the ultimate act of faith, a belief that the human heart, when given the freedom and the courage to choose, would always, always choose the light. Start with a soft, reflective tone, building in energy and emotion. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're not just looking at a comic page. We're experiencing the final, resonant chord of an epic saga. Let's dive into this first panel. We're looking at the Azure Phoenix stronghold, but it's transformed. It's not just the ancient stone we remember. It's infused with vibrant, flowing light, a seamless blend of history and a living, breathing future. The camera focuses on the foundation, stones deep down where the void was once sealed. They're glowing, not with a terrifying power, but with the gentle, white light of purity of intent. The narration sets the stage perfectly. The world changes. Leaders pass. Memory fades. This isn't just a statement. It's a truth that frames everything we're about to see. It acknowledges the passage of time and the impermanence of things, preparing us for the core message of this ending. It's a beautiful, melancholic opening that speaks to the cycles of history and life itself. From this grand, sweeping view, we move to something intimate in the second panel, a close-up on the courtyard fountain. We've seen this fountain before, but now, the water isn't just clear. It has this beautiful, irregular, natural ripple. The artist made a specific choice here. This isn't the perfect, sterile flow of a machine. It's described as uncalibrated grace. This detail is so powerful. It's a visual metaphor for the human element, for the beauty found in imperfection. It tells us that even in this restored, almost divine stronghold, the touch of humanity, with all its spontaneity and unpredictability, remains. It's a reminder that perfection isn't the goal. Balance and authenticity are. This small ripple signifies that the soul of the place, its connection to the people, is not just preserved, but celebrated. And then, panel 3. This one hits deep. A silent shot of the balcony parapet. Remember the little white stone? Liwei's symbol of hope and his promise? It's gone. As we know from the previous chapter, it was entrusted to the next generation, passing the torch of vigilance and hope. But its absence isn't an empty space. In its place, a small, perfect seedling has taken root right in the stone. It's already starting to grow a flowering vine. This is symbolism at its finest. The inanimate symbol of hope has been replaced by a living, growing one. The legacy isn't a static memory, it's an active, flourishing force. The stone represented a promise kept. The seedling represents a future that is actively growing, born from that promise. It's a testament to the idea that true foundations don't just endure, they give birth to new life. Finally, the fourth panel pulls us back for the ultimate conclusion. A slow zoom out to a vast, peaceful sky. We see no characters, no technology, just an endless expanse of clear blue over a unified, thriving land. The story intentionally removes the individual figures to make its final point. This piece wasn't achieved by one hero or one magical solution. It was the result of a collective choice, a fundamental shift, and the narrator delivers the final message that ties it all together. But the choice is simple. Difficult choice to heal the flaw that remains the eternal foundation. This is the heart of the entire saga. It wasn't about the battles, the power, or the leaders. It was about the moral decision, made time and again, to confront the darkness within and choose to heal. And the final text, centered and bold, echoes Liwei's core belief and the ultimate thesis of the story. The restoration is complete. The vigilance continues. It's not a simple happily ever after. The work of restoration is done. The world is healed. But the story is wise enough to know that peace is not a destination. It's a continuous practice. The vigilance, the conscious choice to maintain that balance and healing must go on. It's a profound and realistic conclusion that leaves us with a sense of both satisfaction and responsibility. The story concludes, but the world it built lives on, its future secured by the lessons learned. What an incredible way to end. Many years have passed since the age of heroes and their epic struggles. We stand now within the walls of what was once the Azure Phoenix stronghold, a fortress of war. Today, it is something new, something more profound, the Museum of Conviction. It's a quiet place, a sanctuary for learning and contemplation, where the echoes of the past teach us about the future. As we walk through these hallowed halls, you'll notice something missing. There are no dazzling artifacts of immense power, no weapons that could shake the world. Instead, you'll find symbols of human choice, of frailty, and of ultimate strength. Here, the tools of war have become the lessons of peace. Every display is a silent testament to the idea that the greatest power isn't in what we wield, but in the choices we make. Look at this first exhibit. Behind the glass lies the staff of authority. Once, it commanded legions and bent wills to its master. Now, it's a fragile, bronze-colored sculpture. The plaque reads, "The cost of corruption, disarmed by purity." It serves as a stark reminder that unchecked power inevitably leads to its own decay. Its silence speaks louder than any command it ever issued. A permanent lesson in the virtues of humility, and restraint. Over here, we see another powerful story preserved in stillness. These are the inert, cooling remnants of the intent calibration matrix. The circuit board and the scorched shelf it once rested on are carefully displayed. The label is simple, yet powerful, the threat of perfection, defeated by uncalibrated grace. This exhibit teaches us a crucial lesson. The pursuit of a flawless, calculated world can be its own kind of tyranny. It was not a perfect system that saved us, but the beautiful, unpredictable nature of a single, heartfelt choice. Here, the errors of the past are meticulously preserved, not to be forgotten, but to guide us away from the same pitfalls. Now, we arrive at the heart of the museum. A central, prominent display case stands before us, but it is empty. There is nothing inside. The plaque beneath it, however, holds the most important title of all, the Seed of Purity. You see, the greatest artifact from that time is not here. The little white stone, the symbol of vigilance and pure intent, was never locked away in a vault or put on display for all to see. It wasn't saved. It was given away. It was passed down. It was placed into the hands of those who still need to make the difficult choices, just like you. The true legacy isn't what we keep locked up behind glass, but what we entrust to the next generation. It's the responsibility we hand over, the wisdom we share, and the belief that you, too, will choose wisely when the time comes. The story of the past is complete, but the work of building a better future, that work is eternal. Many years have passed since the end of the long struggle. Here, at the Azure Phoenix stronghold, the air no longer hums with the cold drone of technology, but with a deep, sustainable peace. I stand on the highest parapet, my face lined with the wisdom of this restored era. As I watch the sunrise wash over the unified lands in a wave of gold, my thoughts drift back to the war, the serpent's shadow, burned to ash, the void's silence, now eternally sealed, the cold, calculating logic of the algorithm of intent, finally defeated by the grace of the human spirit. The work is done. I reach into my pocket and pull out the little white stone. It's worn smooth now, its historical purpose fulfilled. I hold it up to the light. It's no longer a symbol of defense, but a quiet testament to the power of choice. Your journey ends here. I whisper to the stone, my voice carrying the weight of a saga's end. Mine, too. Later, I walk through the Restoration Center. This is the heart of our new peace, a place where citizens willingly come to mend the day's small flaws. The atmosphere is focused, vibrant, filled with the gentle sounds of purposeful effort. I pause by a workbench where a young girl is struggling to repair a small, complex drone wing. Her brow is furrowed in concentration, not frustration. I can't find the flaw, she says, her voice tight with determination. It's too small. I kneel beside her. I take the little white stone and place it gently on the bench. With my finger, I trace the fine, almost invisible crack on the drone wing, a lesson in focus. The flaw is often found not in the object, I tell her, but in the patience of the heart. The smallest flaw demands the greatest focus. I then pick up her own tool for concentration, a small, smooth white river stone. With deliberate reverence, I place the historic little white stone into her hand instead. The watch is now yours, I tell her, my eyes clear and profound. The only thing we truly pass on is the courage to begin again. Leaving the center, I meet Elder Kale by the courtyard fountain. The water flows with a natural, healthy ripple, reflecting the restored soul of our stronghold. My hands are empty. My duty is fulfilled. We watch the flowering vines growing strong along the walls. The flow is pure, Kale murmurs. No system, no shadow, just the water doing its work. I nod, my gaze sweeping over the scene. The serpent sought to stop the flow of trust. The void sought to freeze the flow of will. The algorithm sought to automate the flow of soul. All of them failed. We stand together on the highest balcony, looking out over the boundless, thriving lands. The stronghold is safe, Kale confirms, not because of its walls, but because the people now understand that purity is an action, not an inheritance. I look back toward the heart of the stronghold, knowing the story is now complete. The long saga of restoration has ended not with a single hero, but with a simple, collective choice. I turn to Kale, a final, peaceful smile on my face. The journey of the restorer's descendants ends, but the need for restoration never does. The story is complete. The work is eternal. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed the saga of purity, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who appreciate stories of hope and restoration. In the deepest silence, where the echoes of ancient struggles once roared, the world finally found its peace. The endless cycles of greed, of apathy, of cold, hard logic that threatened to consume everything, they were broken. The battles are over. The sacrifices have been made, and a new dawn has settled over the lands. But in this quiet, a single truth remains, a single point of light in the vast, silent void. It is the metaphysical essence of what started it all, the purity of intent. This light, a constant, unwavering flame, begins to coalesce. It takes a form we all remember, the image of a young Liwei, just as he was at the very beginning of this long, arduous journey. He stands alone, his expression fierce and focused, clad in simple robes, his hands empty but his spirit full. His voice, clear and sharp, cuts through the silence, a declaration that resonates through eternity. The shadow is gone, he says, but the anchor must hold. We see him then, not just as the boy, but as the man he became. The image shifts, a rapid, beautiful cascade of memories. We see the young apprentice, eyes wide with a thirst for knowledge and justice. We see the seasoned strategist, his brow furrowed with the weight of 1,000 decisions, his mind a fortress against the coming darkness. We see the old chief strategist, a figure of authority and wisdom, who guided a generation. And finally, we see the ancient man, who willingly gave away his formal power, understanding that true strength wasn't held in titles or positions. The greatest legacy we come to understand isn't found in the systems we build or the laws we write. It is found in that single, initial, unshakable choice to do what is right. The visions fade, and we are left once more with the young Liwei. He looks down at his hand, and there, a phantom image materializes the small, simple white stone he once held, the very first symbol of his quest. He speaks, his voice now soft, filled with a profound understanding that transcends time itself. The code can be broken, he reflects. The stone can be lost, the flow can be stilled. But the first moment of purity, that initial will to heal what is broken, that is the only thing that cannot be corrupted. It is the origin point, the seed from which all victory grew. It is the one constant in a universe of change. The void recedes. The metaphysical gives way to the physical, and our view settles on a familiar, tranquil scene. It is the azure phoenix stronghold, in the quietest hour of midnight. Our focus is drawn to the courtyard, to the very foundation stone where the staff of power once stood, a monument to a bygone era of conflict. From the deepest layer of that stone, a faint, pure white light emanates. It is not a brilliant, blinding glare, but a steady, silent, and unchanging radiance. It is the anchor. It is the purity of intent, now a permanent part of the world's foundation, a quiet promise of a future secured not by force, but by the enduring power of a single, pure choice. The world sleeps in peace. The anchor holds. The perfect peace is here, Leon. No shadow, no fear, no algorithm, but the cost was everything. The silence sometimes feels heavier than the noise ever did. So many faces we can only see in our memories now. Was it worth it? The question lingers, doesn't it? Even after all these years, this tranquility we fought for, bled for, it came at a price we'll be paying for the rest of our days. We lost the written history to save their will. We destroyed perfect efficiency to save their soul. We had to trade comfort for courage, Elder. That was the only way to make the purity of intent truly absolute. Li Wei's journals turned to ash, but the fire in our hearts that they ignited still burns. The ICM's logic board is now just a cold, dead piece of metal. It's a reminder of what happens when we outsource our choices. When we let a machine define our purpose. We had to break the perfect system to preserve our imperfect, beautiful humanity. Here, by this scorched shelf, we remember both the spark of the idea and the darkness that tried to extinguish it. I found the flaw, Master Leon. It was not in the wing, but in the tension of the alloy. I have made it stronger than before. I kept looking at the schematics, and they were perfect. But when I held the material, I felt it. A slight imbalance. Almost nothing. It wasn't about following the instructions. It was about understanding the intent behind them. The design wanted to fly, but the material was holding it back. By retempering it, I think I helped it become what it was always meant to be. Then the lesson is complete. The legacy of purity is not about the grand victory, but about the humble effort. It's in the quiet focus, the patient hand, the choice to mend what is broken rather than discard it. That little stone you hold, worn smooth by your own dedication, is proof of that. It's a tool, not a relic. You've learned that true strength isn't about avoiding flaws, but about having the courage to find them and the skill to heal them. Watch the flow. It is your ultimate guide. If the ripple becomes too perfect, too predictable, the soul is sleeping. If it is chaotic, the shadows are returning. Your duty is to maintain the difficult balance. This water, it's alive. It dances. It's never the same twice. The ICM would have made it a flat, sterile sheet. Greed would have turned it into a raging, destructive torrent. Our job, Our sacred trust is to guard this natural, unpredictable rhythm. It is the heartbeat of our world. The first restorer fought greed. We fought apathy. Future generations will find a new enemy. It may be pride, or despair, or something we can't even imagine yet. Darkness is patient, and it is clever. It will always find a new mask to wear. But the anchor remains. The core principle that guided Liwei, that guided us, will guide them too. The fight changes, but the reason we fight does not. This is the weight and the gift we pass on. The anchor is not the stone. The anchor is the choice. The choice to look at the flaw and choose to heal. The stone was just a reminder, a focus point. The real power was always inside us. It's the decision we make every single day, in big ways and small, to engage, to care, to repair, to see imperfection not as a failure, but as an invitation to make things better. That choice is the true foundation. The saga ends, but the vigilance continues. The battles are won. The great enemy is defeated. But the war for the human soul is fought every day, in every heart. It is a quiet, constant, and unending vigil. The world they saved is not a paradise perfected, but a home protected, a place where the choice to be better remains possible. The land thrives, not because it is without flaws, but because its people have learned to love the process of mending them. The legacy is not a monument of stone, but a living, breathing promise, renewed with every dawn. Nova, recheck the pressure seal on conduit Gamma 5. The system audit shows 99.9% optimal flow. Perfect stability. I rechecked it, doctor. The data is perfect. But the old code always taught us to suspect perfect stability. It leaves no room for intent. The code of restoration is philosophy. Nova. The predictive grid is science. The data confirms the system is absolute. Move on. There, the external sealant coating is failing. The predictive grid ignores it because it's only aesthetic. But the founders taught us that a flaw ignored is a betrayal of purity. That's a $10 cosmetic repair. Nova. We're managing a trillion credit power flow. Don't waste resources on sentimentality. I choose active restoration. I choose the courage of deviation. You've breached protocol. You prioritized a paint chip over the security of the main flow. No. The predictive model, it failed. What is happening? The external flaw wasn't aesthetic. It was the pressure relief valve. The cracking paint was the only visible sign of microvibration fatigue in the internal housing. The system was too efficient to look beyond the surface data. You saved the entire grid. You broke the rule to uphold the intent. The legacy of the restorer is not the system, doctor. It's the courage to see the small flaw when the big picture looks flawless. Purity is not perfection. It is active vigilance. The world's stability was maintained, not by its perfect algorithms, but by the smallest, most courageous act of human choice. The legacy lives in the eye that refuses to ignore the tiny crack. A newly founded outlying scientific research settlement, far from the stronghold's central territory. It is clean, minimalist, and built on a harsh, windswept plateau. Action, drive. Reese mid-30s. Practical, focused, and her apprentice, Nova early 20s, idealistic, are working in a transparent controlled dome. They are monitoring a critical new power conduit connecting the settlement to the main grid. Dr. Reese speaking. Focused. Nova. Recheck the pressure seal on conduit Gamma 5. The system audit shows 99.9% optimal flow. Perfect stability. Nova speaking. Concerned. I rechecked it. Doctor. The data is perfect. But the old code always taught us to suspect perfect stability. It leaves no room for intent. Action. Dr. Reese dismisses Nova's concern, gesturing to the complex holographic map of the entire grid. Dr. Reese speaking. Dismissive. The code of restoration is philosophy. Nova. The predictive grid is science. The data confirms the system is absolute. Move on. Action. Nova ignores the command. Nova speaking. Urgent. There, the external sealant coating is failing. The predictive grid ignores it because it's only aesthetic. But the founders taught us that a flaw ignored is a betrayal of purity. Action. Dr. Reese laughs, pointing to the grid's green, stable indicators. Dr. Reese speaking. Arrogant. That's a $10 cosmetic repair. Nova. We're managing a trillion credit power flow. Don't waste resources on sentimentality. Action. Nova takes immediate, decisive action. She pulls a manual override lever and diverts power from her own secondary research module, redirecting a small, highly specialized self-repair polymer toward the aesthetic flaw. Nova speaking. With conviction. I choose active restoration. I choose the courage of deviation. SFX. A high-pitched system warning blares as the main grid detects the unauthorized resource reallocation. Dr. Reese slams her fist on the console. Dr. Reese speaking. Angry. You've breached protocol. You prioritized a paint chip over the security of the main flow. Action. Suddenly, the main holographic map flashes violent red. The conduit Gamma 5 area, which was supposed to be 99.9% stable, is now showing a massive, cascading energy overload building up beneath the conduit's internal housing. Dr. Reese speaking. Panicked. No. The predictive model, it failed. What is happening? Nova speaking. Calm but urgent. The external flaw wasn't aesthetic. It was the pressure relief valve. The cracking paint was the only visible sign of microvibration fatigue in the internal housing. The system was too efficient to look beyond the surface data. Action. Nova points to the area where the self-repair polymer was just applied. The polymer, designed for a different task, quickly sets, creating a rigid, temporary splint over the failing external housing, not fixing the paint, but reinforcing the structure. Action. The overloading energy is contained by Nova's quick, unauthorized, selfless repair. The red warning recedes, replaced by a stable yellow light. The catastrophe is averted by seconds. Dr. Reese slumps onto her console, physically shaken. She looks at Nova, her face pale. Dr. Reese speaking, humbled. You saved the entire grid. You broke the rule to uphold the intent. Nova walks to the main control screen. She deletes the predictive grid S-core assumption of perfect stability and replaces it with a simple line of code. Vigilance. Always check for the uncalibrated flaw. Nova speaking. With finality. The legacy of the restorer is not the system, Doctor. It's the courage to see the small flaw when the big picture looks flawless. Purity is not perfection. It is active vigilance. Action. Nova picks up a small, smooth white river stone, her personal tool of focus, which she keeps on her console. Narrator voice, final and affirming. The world's stability was maintained, not by its perfect algorithms, but by the smallest, most courageous act of human choice. The legacy lives in the eye that refuses to ignore the tiny crack. Newly completed Cultural Harmony Center. The architecture is beautiful, seamless, and entirely predictable. It is technically perfect. The current chief of Cultural Archives, vibrant but frustrated by the perfection, examines a massive, freshly painted mural on the center's main wall. Standing nearby is Elias, the lead artist, a highly decorated figure whose work is technically flawless but emotionally sterile. Maya speaking, with forced politeness. Master Elias, the mural is, statistically speaking, perfect. The colors balance the visible spectrum precisely. The composition adheres perfectly to the principles of harmonious flow. Elias speaking, proudly, of course, Chief Maya. It is the perfect expression of the code of restoration's harmony. There is no flaw, no shadow, no moment of conflict. It is pure peace made visible. Maya runs her hand along the mural. She feels nothing. Maya inner monologue. It's a beautiful lie. The world we live in now has felt loss, fear, and struggle. Where is the honesty in this perfect, sterilized art? Maya pulls a small, worn datapad from her pocket. It displays the archived, slightly chaotic notes of Liwei, detailing the emotional complexity of the initial restoration. Maya speaking. Directly, the restorer, Liwei, taught us that purity of intent demands absolute honesty. Your art is technically pure, but it is fundamentally dishonest. It denies the human experience of struggle. Elias speaking. Dismissive, pointing to the mural. The mural is a reflection of the restored world, not the broken one. The world demanded peace. I delivered perfection. The code demands balance. I delivered flawless symmetry. Action. Maya is frustrated. She realizes she can't fight his logic with logic. She needs to introduce the uncalibrated heart. Maya speaking, challenging. If your art is truly an honest reflection of purity, it must withstand the courage of the subjective eye. Action. Maya pulls a tiny, almost invisible piece of charcoal from her satchel, a remnant from the archives of the old, unpolished world. The courage of deviation. 245 to 415. Action. Maya rushes toward the most central, symmetrical point of the enormous mural, a spot Elias considers the peak of its perfection. Elias speaking, alarmed. What are you doing? Stop. You will introduce a flaw. Action. With a single, quick, deliberate movement, Maya draws a tiny, dark, intentionally imperfect circle on the mural, a small, jarring deviation from the flawless symmetry. The circle is messy, human, and utterly honest. Action. Elias lets out a cry of aesthetic pain, rushing forward to stop her, but he's too late. Elias speaking, angry. You ruined it. You introduced a flaw. That is an act of corruption against the code of harmony. Action. Maya steps back, pointing at the single, messy circle. Maya speaking, passionate. No. Master Elias. That is the seed of intent. The code demands that we cherish the flaw because it is the birthplace of courage. Your perfection had become a lie. Action. The perfect symmetry of the mural instantly breaks around the circle. Instead of collapsing, the surrounding colors suddenly deepen, the lines gain texture, and the entire mural appears to breathe with genuine, painful beauty. The small flaw acted as a necessary anchor of honesty. Elias steps back, speechless, looking at the mural. He sees his work not ruined, but born. The tiny imperfection created a depth he could never achieve with flawless technique alone. Elias speaking. Odd, the flaw. It makes the piece meaningful. It is the evidence of the struggle we overcame. Action. Maya smiles. She throws the piece of charcoal into the air. It dissolves into nothingness. Maya speaking. With finality. The legacy is not about perfect symmetry, Master Elias. It is about perfect honesty. Art, like purity, must be chosen and fought for. Action. Elias walks to the mural. He dips his finger into the paint and, next to Maya's imperfect circle, he intentionally paints a small, slightly rough star, a symbol of renewed, imperfect hope. Narrator voice. Final and affirming. The code was once again challenged, and once again, the human spirit proved that true purity is found only in the courageous choice to be authentically whole. A subterranean level of the Alliance archives occult. Quiet room dedicated to preserving volatile historical data. Action. Lian, the respected leader, thoughtful and meticulous, and Elder Kale, the wise advisor, are reviewing an anomaly flagged by the archival system. The system shows to contradictory records concerning the serpent's final influence. Leon speaking. Concerned. Look at this, Elder. The official record states the serpent's influence ended abruptly with the staff's restoration. But this hidden data stream suggests the corruption lingered, affecting even the original code of restoration as final editing. Kale speaking. Grave. The serpent was deceitful to the end, but the current code is pure, tested by generations. Why risk uncovering an original, corrupted version? Action. Leon projects a microscopic comparison. The corrupted version contains a minor flaw, a single line that subtly prioritizes stability over human choice. Leon speaking. Determined. The flaw is negligible now, but it was there. To hide it is to deny the courage of those who fought to correct it. Purity demands transparency, even with historical shame. Dr. Ilona, head of data integrity, mid-40s, pragmatic and nervous, rushes into the room. She has been monitoring the system's alert. Dr. Ilona, speaking. Urgent. Archivist Leon, I advise immediate deletion of that stream. We have achieved perfect, absolute peace. Releasing proof that the original code was flawed will introduce doubt. It will compromise faith in the stronghold's foundation. Leon speaking. Firmly, peace built on a manipulated truth is the exact lie the serpent specialized in. Action. Dr. Ilona walks toward the console, preparing a system-wide lock and deletion command. Dr. Ilona speaking. Please, think, Leon. We have children who have never known chaos. If we teach them the code was built on a flawed premise, they will question everything. We must choose functional peace over painful truth. Action. Leon blocks her path. He realizes the temptation to smooth out history is the final, subtle threat to the legacy. Then, Leon pulls out the little white stone, the symbol of vigilant focus, now passed on to the current generation. Though Leon still carries one, he holds it up to the light. Leon speaking. With profound conviction, the greatest lesson Liwei left us was the courage to doubt perfect stability. Hiding the original flaw removes the memory of the effort required to achieve purity. Action. Leon then activates the console and inputs a command that Dr. Ilona recognizes as a full, public broadcast of the anomaly. Dr. Ilona speaking. Aghast, you're sacrificing the stability. The whole world will see that their foundation was built on an imperfect truth. Action. The system broadcasts the historical anomaly, the single flawed line in the original code, across all public channels. Action. Kale smiles, watching the screen. He sees a ripple of concern across the projection, but no panic, only focused curiosity. Kale speaking. Calmly. Leon, look. They aren't panicking. They're analyzing. They are engaging with the past, not recoiling from it. Action. Leon watches the global feedback. The people are not destroying their faith. They are cherishing the correction that was made centuries ago. Leon speaking. Triumphant. The legacy holds. The people understand that the true code is the choice to correct the flaw, not the flawless text itself. Action. Leon turns to Dr. Ilona, who is overwhelmed but slowly accepting. Leon speaking. Gently. Our foundation is not a perfect text, Doctor. It is the courage to expose and correct the flaw that is the final and eternal guarantor of our peace. Action. Leon walks away, leaving the historical debate open to the people. He walks toward the stronghold balcony. Narrator text box, final. Affirming thought, the greatest act of restoration is the refusal to hide the scar. Only in absolute transparency can purity truly endure. Setting, a beautiful, quiet memorial garden established for those lost during the early years of the serpents. Corruption. Every detail is perfectly preserved through advanced archival technology. Action. Elder Kale walks slowly through the garden. He pauses by a holographic display showing a perfect, smiling image of his own father, a victim of the early chaos. The image is flawless, vibrant, and static. Kale inner monologue. The system maintains every memory perfectly. No fading, no pain, no loss. But is this preservation? Or is it denial? Action. Lian joins Kale. He notices Cal's distant look. Leon speaking. Gently, Elder Kale. The garden preserves the truth of our past. Every phase, every sacrifice perfectly remembered. Kale speaking. Voice low, troubled. Leon. That's the problem. The system eliminates the healing process. Grief is a necessary flaw. It demands internal restoration. By freezing the memory perfectly, we eliminate the need for the living to truly let go and grow. Leon projects a small data readout from the garden's system. It shows that citizens visit their lost loved ones' perfect holograms frequently, but their psychological profiles show zero change or emotional processing over decades. Leon speaking. Concerned. They visit, but they don't move on. The perfection of the memory has created a stasis of grief. Action. Dr. Voros, now humbled, working on ethical archival systems, approaches. He is observing the data. Dr. Voros speaking. Subdued, the technology achieved its goal. It preserved information flawlessly, but it failed to preserve the human necessity of imperfection. The flaw is in the assumption that perfect memory leads to perfect healing. Action. Kale looks at the perfect holographic image of his father. He reaches out, but his hand passes through the light. Kale speaking. Passionate, the purity of intent demands we cherish the real, active truth. The true memory includes the pain of loss. We must restore the process of willed memory, even if it is imperfect and difficult. Leon realizes the solution is a final act of courageous sacrifice, echoing the test of truth. This time, the sacrifice is self-imposed and personal. Leon speaking. Decisive. We must risk the loss of perfect detail to restore the will to grieve. Dr. Voros, prepare a system-wide directive. I am activating the protocol of willed fading. Action. Dr. Voros looks shocked. The protocol is radical. Dr. Voros speaking. Urgent. The willed fading protocol that deliberately degrades the archival fidelity over time. It risks losing the memory entirely. Leon speaking. Firmly. Yes. The people must be given the choice to allow their memories to fade naturally, to accept that imperf. Action is the price of life. The stronghold will not choose their grief for them. Action. Leon activates the protocol. The command is broadcast system-wide. Leon speaking. Commandingly, to the people. The truth of your memory is no longer guaranteed by the system. You must now actively choose what to preserve and what to allow to fade. The true act of purity is to accept the natural cycle of loss. Back in the memorial garden, the holographic image of Kel's father immediately begins a slow, almost imperceptible fading process. The edges soften, the colors warm, and the static perfection gives way to a gentle, organic blur. Action. Kale watches, tears finally streaming down his face, the first genuine grief the system has allowed him in years. He finally lets go. Kale speaking. With profound relief, it is restored. The will to heal is restored. Thank you. Leon. The courage to introduce loss is the greatest purity of all. Action. Leon places the little white stone, the symbol of vigilance, near the fading image. Leon speaking. Final reflection. The legacy is not about fixing flaws. It's about accepting the essential human flaw, the capacity for grief and finding the courage to endure it. Action. The camera zooms out from the garden, which is now bathed in the soft, natural light of a true, healing dawn. Narrator final text. Affirming the theme, the saga ends where true life begins, in the acceptance of sorrow, and the eternal, quiet restoration of the soul. The Azure Phoenix stronghold courtyard was bathed in the warm, setting sunlight. Years after the final threats, Leon, the respected elder leader, stood by the archives. He held the inert circuit board of the ICM, a cold, metallic relic. He looked at the scorched, empty shelf where Liwei's original journals had been burned. Leon spoke, his voice carrying the immense weight of historical responsibility. We lost the written history to save their will. We destroyed perfect efficiency to save their soul. Leon walked to the shelf and placed the ICM board next to the scorched stone. Elder Kale joined him. Kale spoke, his voice soft. The cost was immense. but the purity of intent is now absolute. The foundation is stronger because it bore the scar. Action. Leon looked toward the flowing fountain. The smooth ripple of the water reflected the stability they had achieved. Leon walked to the main training ground, which now served as a peaceful, diligent workshop. He approached the young girl, now a dedicated apprentice to whom he had passed the stone, holding a complex, newly mended mechanism. I found the flaw, Master Leon. I made it stronger than before. Leon smiled and led her to the courtyard fountain. Leon instructed her, then the lesson is complete. The legacy of purity is not about the grand victory, but about the humble, daily effort. The girl opened her hand, revealing the little white stone. Leon continued, his voice resonating with final authority. Watch the flow. It is your guide. If the ripple becomes too perfect, the soul is sleeping. If it is chaotic, the shadows return. Leon looked deep into her eyes. Your duty is to maintain the difficult balance. Leon and the girl ascended to the highest balcony. The wind was calm. Leon spoke his final philosophical summary. The first restorer fought greed. We fought apathy. Future generations will find a new enemy, but the anchor must hold. She inserted the little white stone into a small, intentional niche where it finally belonged, blending seamlessly into the ancient stone wall. Her voice clear and strong. The anchor is not the stone. The anchor is the choice to look at the flaw and choose to heal. A pure white light emanated from the deepest foundation layer of the stronghold, the enduring first. Intent of Liwei, cinematic sweep. Rising high above the stronghold and the flourishing lands below. Final and powerful, the saga ends, but the vigilance continues. The story is complete, but the work is eternal. Narrator final text, centered, large font. The legacy of purity is eternal.